Hey, this is Professor Homa. Welcome to part 2 of EX8 form table. And this is our form that we set up using a table. And we didn't have to really use any CSS other than the CSS we used for the form, which put the background color and the round colored. So we're going to take a look at the CSS. As long as your HTML looks like this, and you can tell what we're going to do. We're just going to spread this out a little bit with a little padding below or padding bottom, and we're also going to right justify or right align these label elements, and then we're also going to put a little padding to the right of these so they're not running right up against it. So just a couple things we're going to do with CSS. So I'm going to go to my CSS file, and you can see I already have my form elements styles for them here, my declarations. So this is all the things that make the form look nice. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to set up one for my TDs. My TRs. My TRs are my rows. So I'm basically going to put another element here, and I'll put it for TR. And that's an HTML element, so you just have to put TR, and I'll put my opening and closing brackets. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a space below, and the way I'll do that is I'll just put padding bottom for every TR, and I'm just going to do 1M for now. We'll just do 1M, which is basically the equivalent of the default font size, so it almost puts like an extra space between there. So I'm going to try that just to see what it looks like so far. I'll save that. And I'll go back and refresh this. And it didn't spread it out so far, so let's see why. Basically, we can't put the padding bottom on TR, but if we put it on TD, if we put it on the cells, and I'll save that. If I make it for all the cells, if I go here and then I refresh it, you can see what it's doing. Now it's working. So we have a little issue there where it's not doing it to the whole row. I think on the original video I said you can do it on the row, and I thought I had done it that way when I tried it out, but apparently we have to do it for the TD. We have to do it for the cells. Put padding below the cells, not the row. So anyway, I'll indicate that on the notes for you. So that's for all the tabular data, all the table cells. You have to put padding bottom of 1M, not for the TR. And also, what I'm going to do here, because we're going to do it for just this one, and again, I have an issue with this one too, because we should be able to just use label. You would think we'd just be able to use label, and I'll show you what I mean. If I went to the CSS, I should be able to do this. And I can't even explain why it doesn't work yet, but I should be able to go label and get the label element and just put in, padding right, and I'll put 1M padding right as well. And then also put text align, and I'll make sure that is right, so we align those. And what I'm trying to get to here, is for the index part, I'm trying to get all these labels here. So anything with a label element should get aligned right, and it should have padding right. Well, let's see if this works if I do that. It's doing the padding. You can see it's pushing that over, but it's not doing the text align right. And I'm not sure why it doesn't like to do that, but for whatever reason it doesn't. It doesn't like to do it to the label. You can see it's doing the padding right, but it's not doing the text align right. So my kind of workaround for this, instead of targeting the label, is I'm going to go to index, and every place where there's a label, I could even change this. I'm not going to do it for label. I'm just going to put TD, and I'm going to put class equals, and I'll do label. I'll call it label. I'll just create a class called label, and TD class equals label. And what I'm going to do is I'll write a style for basically td.label, which will be the class of the label. That way it'll only target these that have labels, but it won't target these other TDs. So what I could do is I could just copy this, and I could paste this for all the ones that have labels. So it'll just say TD class, so I'll just paste every time that it's here, and it's just the TD tag, it's not the label. It's just I'm doing a class equals label. And you could call it anything. You could call it class equals right or something. But for all these labels, I'm just going to paste this opening tag here. And again, only for the labels. Okay, so now all of these TDs, all of these cells that have the label in are identified with the class name of label. So that means if I go back to my CSS and I basically just say td.label, that means this is the element and this is the class name. It should identify that. I'm going to save this. and now I'm going to refresh it, and now that works. Now you can see it's basically grabbing that. It's making it aligned right. It's also putting in the 1M, and that's all I really need as far as my layout. These are the only things I need: the TD with padding bottom, and then the TD label using a class. If you haven't used a class yet, it's a good chance to try out a class. And again, the only thing you have to do for class is just give it a name. TD class equals label. And again, you could use any name. You don't have to use label. I just did it because they're for the labels. But we could have called it right, or anything you want. But label made sense, and it doesn't conflict. You can use a class name that's the same name as an element name. You just have to be careful, but that works fine. And that's pretty much our layout. The last thing we have to do before you upload everything, that looks good. The last thing we have to do is you actually have to go to your contact PHP, and you don't have much to do here because I have it all set up for you. But what this does is it basically writes variables for it takes these parts of your form. So you have to make sure that these are all the same form names that you have on there, or else it won't work. And what it's going to do, this is basically a form, like a form mail that'll get sent back to an email. All that you have to do is put your email in here. Now I'm going to leave mine here for now, because then I'll test it out. And also leave this from here, because that way you need this little email address in here, or else it has a tendency to get dropped into spam. It still may get dropped into spam, so you may check your spam if you want to test it out. But all that you have to do, the only thing you have to do is change this email to yours, or to wherever you want it to come to, so that you could fill out your form and it'll get sent to an email, and you'll get the information, and it'll have a little message in it. So I'll show you how that works when I try it out. But next thing I'm going to do is basically I'm going to leave this at homa.warren.edu, and then I'll go in and just check my email and make sure that it's there. But I'm basically done with this, so I can close these out, just make sure that I have everything okay. And I'll close these up, and then what I'll do is I'll go to CyberDuck, open that up, and then I'm just going to copy my file, upload my file. So I'll launch CyberDuck. There it is, and I'll make sure I have my files out here. And there's the files I just did. And I'm going to log in again, and it's asking me to log in. So I'll put in my name and password. And now it's connected. And I'm just going to drag my whole EX8 folder in here, and it should overwrite the one that's there. And it's asking me to put in my password again. And there you can see the up arrow, and it's saying overwrite, so I'll hit continue. So it just uploaded that. Okay, and then what I can do is I could go into, I'll go WCCC Graphic Design Students. I'll go here first. I'll find my link, which is for Student Sample. And there's the homepage. And I didn't put in my links for 6 and 7 yet, but I could go over here and just type in EX8. And it should go to that form. And I'm going to fill it out here. And I'll use my autofill to make it easier. So here's my form. This is the school address. I'll put myself as male, and I'll hit submit. And when I hit submit, if it works, you'll get a message that says your message has been sent, and it'll even go back to the page you were at. And then you can check your email to see if it actually comes in. If I go to my email, here's the information that came in. It's basically giving me a return here of information. So if someone fills out your form, you can get an email back of the information. So people use that as a contact form, or to get data, surveys, anything like that. So it came through with a subject of CSC 230 PHP form demo, and then it also came from this like website address. Okay, so if it works, it'll come back to your email. So just make sure that works, and then that's all you need to do, and you should be done.